Hello ghouls and goblins, I'm Andrew, and since we've already covered most of the heavy hitters on How to Kill, we're diving deep into the dollar DVD bin to bring you Pumpkinhead. He may not have the body count of a Jason or a Freddy, and his head looks nothing like an actual pumpkin, which is kind of a disappointment, but this dastardly demon is definitely deserving of death. And hey, you guys voted for him. Democracy.
USA! USA!
So grab your gourds and carve up some chaos, because this is How to Kill Pumpkinhead. Now, he isn't the most well-known movie monster, so before we go all Billy Corgan and start smashing Pumpkinhead, we should explain what his deal is. He's more or less your everyday average demon, a spirit of vengeance who can be summoned to wreak payback on those who have wronged you, though, as always, the power comes with a price. And the only way to stop his rampage is to shoot the summoner. 1988's Pumpkinhead was based off of a poem, believe it or not. It doesn't have much to do with demons, witches, or anything in the movie really, but it did have a cool name, and as we all know in Hollywood, that's enough.
What the hell is it? Pumpkinhead. What's that thing right there? Pumpkinhead.
The film was the directorial debut of FX legend Stan Winston, and while the man behind the Predator and the Alien Queen was able to design a pretty nifty new monster, he was too busy shooting the movie to directly supervise his team's work, which might explain why you can see Pumpkinhead rocking some Air Maxes in the full screen version. It doesn't even look like he's here to kill anybody, it looks like he's here to ball, square up, play 21. I'm Pumpkinhead and I'm gonna steal your girl. In all fairness, you were never actually supposed to see that, and the monster does look really great, sort of a hillbilly xenomorph. And as for the movie itself, it's basically Pet Sematary meets thinner.
You know as much about justice as I know about turbine engines. Now take your f***ing curves off of me.
Decades after encountering the demon as a young boy, Lance Henriksen finds himself in need of a supernatural hitman after his own son is run down by a reckless gang of dirt-biking teenagers. And by that I mean really one reckless teenager who's also definitely played by a 35-year-old man.
Honey, get me a beer.
In his rage and sadness, he tracks down Miss Haggis, an old witch in the woods who is honestly probably scarier than Pumpkinhead itself.
You can go now, Ed Hardy. Now it begins.
She can't resurrect his son, but with a little scarole and some blood, she can hook him up with a certain demon who specializes in slaughtering obnoxious teens.
You're looking at vengeance. Cruel, devious, pure as venom, vengeance.
Here's the catch though. The summoner is forced to see and feel the demon's handiwork, and with each new victim, the two become more intertwined. By the end of the movie, the demon's face has evolved into a twisted caricature of Henriksen, and he realizes the only way to stop Pumpkinhead is to take his own life. So he shoots himself in the head, but he totally pulls a Fight Club and doesn't even die. I mean, yeah, he's close to death, but he doesn't die. Which means that the final girl has to finish him off.
Kill me.
The demon inexplicably bursts into flame and Haggis buries Henriksen's corpse, implying that he'll be the next incarnation of Pumpkinhead. Ooh. But that plotline would be abandoned for 18 years. The next film would deliver a different kind of demon who suffers death by descent. Pumpkinhead 2 Bloodwings was originally a completely different script that was converted into a sequel overnight, which is why it pretty much ignores everything established in the very first movie.
I liked it better before.
It opens with a flashback to the 50s where we meet a brand new witch who's taking care of a deformed child named Tommy out in the woods, and it's always a Tommy, isn't it? Until a gang of asshole teens stab him with a switchblade and drop him down a mine shaft.
Drop him!
his former guardian hits the books to find a way to resurrect the child, who we later learn was actually the offspring of the demon himself, which means, canonically, Pumpkinhead f***s.
Pumpkinhead f***s. Jason doesn't
Freddie might f***.
This is the guy in the house doing all the f***ing. Am I right? You know I'm right. This guy f***s. Thank you.
She figures out a way to raise the dead, but to her credit, she realizes it would unleash terror and bloodshed and the fate of the world, blah, 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 blah.
You don't know the evil you are conjuring, boy.
So she puts the kibosh on her plan to play God, making her officially the smartest person in any slasher movie, really, ever. Sadly, 35 years after Tommy's death, yet another group of rowdy teens finds her spell-casting supplies and tries to resurrect him themselves for shits and giggles. And wouldn't you know it, before long we've got a much cheaper-looking Pumpkinhead tearing his way through the kids who brought him back and the grown-up versions of the assholes who killed him in the first place. But even once the jerks who summoned him are dead, this demon doesn't stop. He only dies after a posse strings him up, pumps him full of bullets, and is magically transformed into a lifeless rubber dummy that is slowly lowered back into the mine, which then explodes because of course it does. Bloodwings was released straight to video, ouch, which usually isn't a great sign for a horror series, but if that's the bottom of the barrel, then what do you call going straight to the Sci-Fi Channel? Because that's where the last two Pumpkinhead films debuted and where we first witnessed his death by cremation. Despite the undignified new home on cable television and terrible CGI, Pumpkinhead Ashes to Ashes at least returns to the canon of the first film, complete with a clearly slumming it Lance Henriksen.
You led me straight to hell.
Turns out his soul has been in limbo ever since he merged with the demon who's been lying dormant waiting for some poor to summon it. Luckily, the townsfolk are in need for some good old-fashioned vengeance after they discover that the local mortician, played by none other than Pinhead himself, Doug Bradley, has been running an illegal organ harvesting ring where he chops up people for parts and dumps their bodies into the swamp.
We have such sights to show you.
Yeah. A group of unsatisfied customers hook up with Haggis and summon Pumpkinhead to slaughter the co-conspirators. Being no stranger to horror movies, Bradley quickly realizes what the f is up and starts murdering the summoners to get rid of the demon before he himself gets got. As he picks them off one by one, Pumpkinhead starts to shrink until there's only a single victim left, who bravely sacrifices herself in a crematorium. Her death restores Henriksen to his normal, handsome self, while her charred corpse is left to rise again as the next incarnation of evil. Credit where credit's due, Ashes is at least better than Bloodwings, and I like how it plays two factions against each other. That worked out so well that they did it in the sequel too, and as for Pumpkinhead's, so far, final death, all I can say is, all's well that ends well. Pumpkinhead Blood Feud cold opens with a Pumpkinhead attack that confirms our shoot the summoner hypothesis.
Please don't.
Before it switches focus to Jody and Ricky, two star-crossed lovers from the Hatfield and McCoy clans. Sound familiar? That's because it's a real-life family rivalry that resulted in an all-out warfare and dozens of deaths in the late 1800s.
You know how it started?
How did it start?
Stolen pig.
How most of these things start. The movie quickly dispenses with any actual history because who gives a shit, and uses the killer clans as an excuse to bring back the demon. After Ricky McCoy's sister is murdered by some Hatfields while she was keeping lookout during a clandestine makeout sesh, he bumps into Mrs. Haggis. Hello there, the angel from my nightmare, the shadow in the background of the morgue, and asks her to summon the demon and get rid of those pesky varmints once and for all. Even though he's freed from the curse, Lance Henriksen is still hanging around for some reason that I'm sure isn't just a paycheck, pleading with Haggis to find a better hobby than conjuring killer monsters, but no luck. The ritual is performed, Pumpkinhead is raised, and a whole lot of Hatfields and McCoys get wrecked. The two families put their differences aside to fight the demon as a team, but the nightmare isn't over until Jody blows away her boyfriend and he drags the monster into a well. With the gory gourd defeated, the storm clears and Lance shows up one last time with some of the most atrocious green screen you'll ever see outside of public access television. That's the end of the Pumpkinhead saga so far, and Lord knows it was a hoot. But in 2016, a reboot was announced from Saw producer Peter Block. That was supposed to start filming last year, so I'd take it with a grain of salt. But in a world where Michael Myers, the Candyman, and Chucky can all return from the dead, it could be the perfect time for horror films to get a fresh dose of Pumpkinhead spice. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and thanks for voting in our How to Kill poll. We're gonna keep on letting you guys pick them because we pretty much did all the major big bads anyway, so leave a comment and let me know some candidates for the next one. As always, please subscribe to NowThis Nerd, and if you see Pumpkinhead, tell him I want my fucking sneakers back.